Welcome to the Past Life Project. I'm Monique, hypnotherapist and regression specialist. Let me bring you into my world where just another day in the office is not your typical desk job. In each episode, we will be delving into the extraordinary realm of past lives through my own therapy practice, client stories and interviews, and conversations with practitioners that are utilizing past lives as a powerful modality for healing. Tune in to find out how people just like you are healing from a range of physical, emotional, and spiritual issues by exploring their previous incarnations. Are you ready to dive into the future of therapy? It's time to turn back time with the Past Life Project. Welcome to the Past Life Project podcast. I'm your host, Monique, hypnotherapist and regression therapy specialist. And today I have Lana Buecker, who is my guest. She is a Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique Level 2 practitioner, soul healer, and Port City mentor who helps others connect to their spiritual bridges on their journey. Lana has studied various metaphysical concepts and applied them in her own life, including the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, otherwise known as QHHT, developed and taught by the late Dolores Cannon, which allows people to access a part of themselves that holds all of the answers. Welcome, Lana. I am so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. I'm excited to dive into all of it with you because we've had some conversations off recording.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so my name is Lana Buecker, and I absolutely love learning new things. And one of them I came across of Dolores Cannon's work, and I was blown away. A friend of mine said, "You have to read her book." And I was on the plane to Wilmington, North Carolina from the event, and I said, "Well, let me listen to it." So at the end of my flight, I knew already that's what I want to do. So yes, so I signed up back in 2023 for my course. I never looked back. I learned so much, and I was able to get into the first level and then the second level. And my hope one day, I'm a third level practitioner.
So tell me a bit about the technique, Lana, because I'm always fascinated how not only on this podcast do we talk to practitioners that are using past lives as a modality for healing in this life, but also specifically hypnosis and regression therapy and how they can alter from different practitioner to practitioner. There's different variations on how they do the regression technique. So I'm curious to learn a little bit more about QHHT because my knowledge is limited, and to hear what is the process. I'm very curious about it.
Yeah. So, as you said, there's so many different practitioners, and I also looked a few of them, and I can tell you right away that Dolores method, I think, one of the best. First of all, it's a simple but not simple. So, you have a chance to connect to find subconscious by going through step-by-step techniques that was developed by Dolores, and she worked with that technique for over 50 years. So it's absolutely amazing. So meanwhile, you will have your clients under the theta state, right? So it's a beautiful, deep relaxation and deep level of trance, right? So that's the time when we're able to connect to our subconscious mind, where we can find all kind of interesting information, not only about our present life and our different situations, also about our past life experience, which is kind of mind-blowing, right? Yes. Yeah. So the way how Dolores worked, or the way how the method works, let's say you have scheduled your session, your upcoming session with the client. And first of all, I always do, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes phone call with the person. Because I needed to know why this particular person decided to have a session. Okay. And also, we have to know, both of us, am I the right practitioner for this particular client, right? Or do we have a strong connection right away? Okay. Sometimes I may even refer this particular person to someone else, or they may not feel so comfortable talking to me for some reason, right? So, first of all, you have to build that particular connection right away. Okay. So that will make your session even flawless, right? So, first of all, yes, I always ask the question, why you decided to have a session, especially now, right? And then I give client little overview what to expect. Okay. So, first of all, they always will bring a list of questions that they may have, right? So you will be surprised. I have some clients, they will came over with 3 questions on the little sticker notes, right? I do have another client who came over with 3 pages handwritten questions, which is fine too, right?
That would be me. The giant list of questions. I bring you a novel.
So everyone is so different, right?
Yes.
Which is always amazing. Okay, so then we have this opportunity to talk for about maybe hour and a half to 2 hours. So I always tell my client, I have to know you better. Okay, so we will set the stage. Let's say we'll go back to your childhood. We'll talk about who you were back then, what kind of relationship you have with your mom and dad, with your siblings, and so forth. But when the client prepare the question, they kind of go over different varieties of relationships or events in their life.
Mhm.
I would always give them an idea of some question, for example, who am I, right? Or why am I here? What is my life's purpose, right? Or I do have such a difficult relationship with so and so. Why? Okay. Or I may have some trouble or difficult situation with so and so constantly coming up into my life, right? So what is happening and why? And kind of can we stop that, right? Because it's no longer working with us. And then, for example, they may have some tragedy. Let's say maybe it was a car accident, right? Maybe some even fatal kind of situation and so forth. So we needed to know not only kind of what happened, but why that happened. Okay. Sometimes we able to tap into our subconscious mind and see actually the bigger picture, bigger prospect of the same situation. Kind of like you're driving your car, but now you're in the passenger seat and you have the ability to see more things, to observe, not only see yourself in a particular situation, but also to find out the other aspect of the same situation. Okay. A different angle of the same situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful. Yeah. And then, after this 2 hours of conversation and we knowing each other better, I always say, so I am here to guide you and you will be my eyes. So when the client under the trance, they see things. They are in the middle of scenery, right? So my job as a practitioner to guide the clients, to navigate them to different areas, to ask the right questions, to uh, navigate them to find the answers to the question they came with, right? So that kind of like we're working together as a team. So this is very, very important, right? So when we have this conversation over the phone before the session, we kind of set the tone for our upcoming session right away, right? So when we meet the first time in person for the session, we kind of knew each other already a little bit, right? And then we dive a little bit more deep. So yes, so every client is different. Every journey is different. You never know what is going to happen. And that's what I love so much about this work.
That's the fun part, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I know some practitioners that are trained in classical hypnotherapy, that aspect of regression therapy terrifies them, that you're not in control with the script and you do have to just go with the flow. But like you, I find that is the most exciting part, that you don't know where you're going to go that day. And it's also very freeing as both the client and the practitioner, that there is a part of you that knows exactly where you need to go, in what order, and we don't have to sit here and guess, that you're just going to let that wise part of you take control, and we don't have to sit here and analyze things to death. We just have to trust and let it take us exactly where you need to be.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. I see the difference sometimes when you trying to push and get some more information or, um, yeah. So I would say go with the flow, right? And let everything settle as naturally as possible. That's the root goal. Yeah. And also, I just wanted to mention that, yeah, so when in my mind, before my own personal QHHT session, I was terrified because I thought to myself, I'm such a control freak. I like to be in control, right? So I said, I don't know how am I going to feel if I wouldn't be able to move or do anything, right? To my surprise and to my amusement, this particular QHHT technique allowed the client to be under theta state, right, during the session. And for example, you can move your hands, you can adjust your pillow, you can basically even say, okay, for example, give an idea. So, client said, Lana, I need to use the restroom in the middle of the session. I said, sure, that's fine. So he or she can open her eyes, go to the using restroom, come back, and we will continue the session. So it's not like you are stuck, So that's kind of what we always so worried about. What if I cannot move my body or anything like that? No, this particular hypnosis allowed you to freely move. You'll be able to hear everything, what's happening in the room, what's happening outside, and so forth. So that allows this particular technique allows you to freely be under the hypnosis and to explore more and be more safe and more comfortable in the process.
It is really a very safe feeling to know that you are in control
Yes.
the whole time.
Yes.
And that I often tell clients, I can't make you do or even say anything during a session. Like, could you imagine if I could do that? Like, I would have everyone with their husbands lining up and all the, all the wives saying, tell my husband to do this and that. It's not mind control, that, like you said, you are in control the whole time. There's a part of you that needs to trust and allow what comes up, but you can freely move. You can edit what you're saying. It's not like you're going to be forced to say things against your free will. And that is, once you have that experience, it's not so scary anymore going inwards. I feel, especially in North America, that there's this, stigma about going inwards, that it's this scary thing. It's safer to put our trust outward in other people than in ourselves. And this is such a powerful technique to shift that you have all of that power and all of those answers inside of you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And also so fascinating. So, during the session, I would normally let the person to explore at least 4 to 5 different lifetimes. Okay. Sometimes I may go from life to life to life just like that, we're talking about one thing and then I realize they're already in the different lifetime and the different things. How fascinating. And I normally would let the client to explore, to find more details about that particular person, particular place and so forth. It always amazed me how the tone of the voice will change, right? Or the person actually starts speaking with an accent. or some interesting aspect of little different details we came across from that particular culture or that particular time frame. It's always so fascinating. So I would definitely say the person loved the different type of histories and everything. So tap into the past life experience. It's absolutely amazing. You never know where you ended up and where you're going to be. Yeah.
And like you said, the small details that come through are really fascinating, especially if you're interested in history and you can go and look these things up and verify for your client who had no idea or who didn't even had an interest in that period of time and had no idea of knowing these finer, tiny details.
Yes, yes, yeah. I always say to my client, so after having the QHHT session, you will better understand of who you are now, and it will make sense to you why you're doing the things that you're doing now. So, like, for example, some people say, I absolutely loved Egypt. I have no idea. They have never been there. They don't know anything about it. And then suddenly, we dive in and they have a beautiful life in Egypt. And now it's kind of everything makes sense, right? So you start connecting the dots. Yes.
It's amazing how your soul pulls you towards certain things before this mind is even aware.
And I always say that your higher self actually brought you to have the session. So it's everything interconnected. And as soon as you decided to have the session, your higher self also preparing you for the session because you're working on your questions and you're kind of going through the process and so forth. I just wanted to also mention that they will show you the things that you needed to see and you need to explore or you need to learn, right? Some people can be very worried about it and say, oh, I'm so worried. What if I don't like this particular experience and so forth? So we have this ability to watch as an observer. So you're no longer as going through this physical process. Or keep in mind that when you are under hypnosis, day one of your life, you can smell, you can taste, you can see things like you are watching a movie about yourself, but you are the character and going and exploring like a 360 degrees, right? It's fascinating. So if something tragic happened or anything like that, we always help the client to shift and see this particular event from the point of view as observer. Okay, so you're no longer feeling in the body, you're no longer kind of going through the process. So let's say, okay, XYZ happened to this particular person. Okay, let's just leave it as it is and we just kind of move it on, right? So, and there is a process to go through this kind of like, make this transition much smoother for the client. So, yeah, some things happened, but you learned so much from it. So, and we going through the process, we learned so many wonderful, interesting things. And then we also ask our subconscious mind, why do I have this experience? Okay. And you show us all kind of different lives. Why? Right. And it's very beautiful. Yeah.
I like that you talk about the experience that you need, because often what the conscious thinking mind wants is not what you actually need in that moment.
Yes. It's amazing to find so many answers to all your questions. And basically at the end of the session, the main thing is, you came with all your questions. You find not only the answer for your questions, but you find those answers by yourself. You're the one who explored this. You're the one who went through this, felt it, saw it, experienced it. And I think that's just like, it's very beautiful. And, I always say, you cannot make this up, right? So it's like, it's there, yes. And keep in mind, it's like, it takes time to process everything what happened during the session. So I would always say, first of all, keep yourself grounding after the session, right? make sure you get something to eat and so forth. And then you have a chance to kind of sit down, go over things, and listen to your recordings of your session. So that's very, very powerful as well, because you have the ability not only to remember what happened, but now you listen to yourself talking about this and of connecting another dots. And it's so fascinating how other layers of memories will come back and you will remember more and so forth. Give you an idea. During my past life experience, I had this ability to explore the star family that I used to have, or I'm related to. It's one of the Pleiades. And I was in a beautiful room. I would described as I was inside of the amethyst. It's a beautiful colors and sound, right? And I can tell that and there's some beings over there, and we communicating and we talking, and they're talking to me. I have no idea what they're talking about. I know it's a language, right? I can tell it's a language, and we're talking telepathically. So after the session, I did try to do my different research on all kind of wonderful things, different modalities and so trying to figure out what language was that, because I never heard of it, and find out later on it's actually called light language. So that's how I came across of Eva Marquez, and I took her course too, right? So things like you explore lots of things during your session, and then you applying the knowledge, the details, the experience in your current life to even explore it more. And that's very, very beautiful.
And that's the purpose, is to apply it to this life now. Not just, well, yes, of course, the experience is fascinating in itself, but it actually has applicable tasks that you can do now to shift yourself and to live a fuller life now.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely what I found it as a practitioner, because, we're leading the client and we are almost like in a theta state as well, right? So my own personal experiences as, meditating on a daily basis, or I definitely can tell that my psychic ability and mediumship ability went way up. So when I decided to take a course by James One Prog, right? He's explaining different things. I was like, I have been like that all my life. I had no idea, right? But now, knowing QHHT, going through this process and experience it, I can tell that my personal abilities are on completely different levels. Yes, definitely.
Mm. What other things have you seen that have changed or shifted in your life since you did your own sessions?
Well, I would say, first of all, that it completely makes sense to me that I choose this particular lifetime, right? That our soul made a decision to choose particular parents, particular experiences, and particular situation, right? So just kind of looking back at my lifetime, I can tell that it makes sense why I choose this particular parents or this particular situation or life experience, right? So that kind of makes me feel better, because in my family, I was kind of like this oddball, right? So black sheep in the family, right? So always completely different and so forth. So and again, being sensitive, being empath, you also realize like, okay, now I have the words and I have the terminology that I can use, right? And since you start exploring, let's say, your own past life, you will start connecting with things of your interest. Like I always mean, like I absolutely love colors, right? And I'm an artist. I love painting, drawing. As a photographer, I always pay attention to the composition, the colors, and so forth. But during my past life experience, I found out that I was a teacher in Pleiades, and I was teaching people how to heal with color and sound. So knowing that little part, sound, I was like, oh, I never thought about, adding to my practice sound. So knowing that experience and exploring more, afterward, I signed up for another course and I learned the sound technique, how to work with tuning fork, okay? And or how to heal with colors. So I wrote this beautiful course, 7-week course, how to heal with color and sound, based on my experiences and based on my practices. So you never know which area and which direction you might go. Yeah. Yeah.
Like leaving these little breadcrumbs, this little trail for you to follow.
Yes. And I also knew that, I always felt so connected to Jewish and heritage and Jewish communities. I'm not Jewish myself, but I always felt so connected to them. And in one of my past life experiences, I saw myself as a Jewish boy, and I went through the Holocaust and the tragedy of it. And I saw myself as a kid, basically died under bodies of others. And because my back was cricket spinning, right? So in this lifetime, I do have a scoliosis, and I always wondering why. Okay, so we also, when we going through the process and we're learning so many things about our past life, we also have to understand that our body keeps the score. So anything in our body, in the physical body, like we have now, somehow related to sometimes to our past life experiences. So as Dolores always talked about it, so if we drew a vertical line, like from our body, so everything what we have on our right side of the body, so that's something that we accumulated, something kind of happened in the past 15, 20 years. Okay. So let's say if any sickness or anything like that. So we kind of have to think about it. Oh, this is actually related to so and so event that happened to me 10, 15 years ago. Okay. So everything what we have on the left side of the body that actually related to our childhood or past life experiences. So sometimes, we have some problem with the shoulder or anything like that. For example, we go back to past life and find out something happened to you in that particular past life, so you hurt your shoulder, right? So now in this lifetime, you may have some physical pain and you don't even know why, right? So during the past life regression session, we also connect into our subconscious, and we allow the subconscious to scan the body, kind of starting from your feet and go all the way up. And the subconscious go bit by bit by bit and find out like, okay, this one, we have to work on this particular organ, or we have to fix this. And we can ask, is it possible to fix? Is it possible to heal now? And the subconscious actually will do it. And they will suggest it to you what is the best remedy for you to use or how to use it, right? So it's another way of also heal your physical body, right? To have the session, because not only you will be able to find out more details of something going on in your body, but also you have the ability to heal. What was interesting about this fact that Dolores always said, you have to understand that, yes, you will be healed at this particular moment, but it's up to you. What are you going to do after? So let's say you can't go back to business as usual, right? So you have to be aware of, yes, so I do have this healed body. How am I going to take care of that healed body? So you can't go back and do your old things. It's time to change. Okay. So that's kind of what's very, very beautiful things to learn during the healing process. So as a practitioner, I'm not the healer, right? So the client is the healer. So, and they're open as much as possible for the opportunity, right? But also during our interview, we going over the questions. We also going over the sickness in the body. And I always ask, you have such a, let's say you have XYZ problems. Would you like to get those problems fixed or healed? You will be surprised. Some people don't because it's part of the personality. Like, no, 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 no. I would like to keep X, but I wanted to get rid of Y, right? So you kind of have to be open on that too and allow the person to make the decision and to explore that possibility as well. So during the recording, when they're at home, they can listen to that part of the session as well. So they will receive another healing every time when they listen to the recording, to the session. And also Dolores said that you can't be past life regression junkie, meaning it's good to have a past life regression session, but then allow your body, your mind, and spirit to absorb the information, to process, to listen to your recordings, learn from it, adjust it, and then later on, maybe to have another session, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. When I started on this path, was very much like you said, got almost like addicted. It's like I wanted another hit, and you just being obsessed with healing, that I don't want to stop until I heal all of it. And now, I mean, as you know, you can't heal everything. There's always more, and you end up burning out the physical body. And that was my own personal experience, is that I did so much energetic and emotional work that my physical body could not keep up with. I wasn't doing any integration. And I've talked to people since that tried to bypass the physical body and just work on the spiritual energetic, and then their body is just falling apart at the seams because it can't. It's like screaming at you. I can't take
what are you doing to me?
Right? Exactly. I need to digest. I need to process. And of course, the physical body takes longer to do that. So like you, I agree. And this is something that now I'm able to teach, is how important it is that, yes, you are this amazing spiritual being and you can go on all these journeys and access the subconscious, but you are still a human in a physical body, and you need to address those physical needs too. And for many, I know it's like, oh, well, that's boring, right? I don't want to be a human. I don't want to do the physical things, but it's so essential. That's part of the journey, is to learn how to physically integrate and break everything down. Absolutely. So I 100% agree with you on that. It's so essential. You can get lost and caught up and forget that the most important part, or the most important life, is this life right now.
Absolutely. Yes. 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 And, we always talk to the client basically at the end of the session when you're taken out from trance. You always mention not only the current time and the current time and place where we at, right? You also let them know the current time, physical time, because sometimes under the hypnosis you think, oh, it's maybe like 30 minutes. No, no, no. You have been out for 2.5 hours, right? So each QHHT session sometimes can be up to 5 to 6 hours. My longest one was 9 hours. Yeah, so it was very long because we went through so many different experiences. There is no way we wanted to stop because we wanted to explore. But also you have to understand that we have to keep our physical body a chance to not only to relax, but also a chance to go back to normal cities. normality, so to speak, to kind of getting back to integrate and so forth. Because when you just, let's say, when you lay down in one position, sometimes it's very hard on the physical body, right? So we kind of have to remember that, okay, now we need to catch up the physical body. So that's why we have to keep grounding. That's why we always have something to eat right after the session to keep the physical body to catch up with everything else, what's going on here.
I was going to ask, for those longer sessions, then are they getting up and eating and moving around and taking care of those needs? I was thinking, my gosh, I could go 9 hours without eating. I'd be so angry.
So what happened in that very, very long session? We had 3 hours of our conversation because there's so many different things that we have discussed. And then we have about 2.5 hours, the trance part. And then I always have conversation after the session. So, and I always record that as well. And the reason why, because after the session, when the client is out, and, they're just, get something to eat, and we kind of talking about it. So I shared my experience as a practitioner, guiding that person through the life. They can talk to me and adding more and more information on the scenery. Okay. Kind of give you an idea. I have one client, we dive into the life, and she was explaining to me, there's a lot of people, they're running around. I don't know what's going on, and I don't really feel good about it. And so, I was able to take her out of this particular experience. But after the session, while we're talking, she explained to me, she said, Lana, I was a baby. I was a baby in my mom's arms. So as a 6-month-old, right, it's very hard sometimes, to describe things, right? Because again, you are seeing things through the baby's eyes. So while after the session, we having this conversation, we found these little details, and now it kind of makes sense, and we can see a bigger picture. So the conversation after the session sometimes even so crucial because, we know the questions that we went through and we answered, we found the answers, but also there is another angle of it because we both talking about it. Okay. So that, I think it's very important part of the session as well.
Yes, it's the processing and the integration. It's not just about the session itself. And so many of us are verbal processors and need to talk it out with someone in order to get a deeper understanding of what that experience was about.
Yes. Yeah. And also so interesting because sometimes, you may dive into the life and it can be a pitch black, right? And, you're navigating the person, maybe right, maybe left, and you're kind of going around in different things. And they may not even see anything, right? And I remember during my second level training with Julia Cannon, daughter of Dolores Cannon. Julia was talking about, she said, you have to remember that there's, for example, can be a situation when the person on that particular life was blind. So they may not even see anything. So it's normal, right? Or you may have to explore things. You may ask the client, can you taste the black color? Can you smell it? Can you feel it? So it's fascinating how in so many different levels you can explore very simple things as a black color, right? Or being in the black, being in the space of dark color. Yes.
Absolutely. And I've worked with so many that are non-visual clients that they don't experience things in visuals. And, they come to you and they've done all these meditations and they say, oh, imagine the beautiful waterfall. And I can't see and I practice so hard. And then they go into their experience and they don't see the visuals in their mind's eye, but they feel it in their body. They feel everything so physically. And like you said, it's not all about necessarily seeing things as a visual. It's almost like in the spiritual community, that's become the thing we put on the pedestal, that you want to see it like a movie, but you don't need to see it to actually heal it, that you can explore. Like you said, that color of black, holds so much meaning to it.
Yes. Yeah. You can be a star, or you can be another universe. It can be or it can be just a light, ball of light, right? So,
Yes, and not even have a physical form. And then how do you describe that experience as a human now? Because you don't have even the words to describe
exactly.
how it feels like.
Yes, yes, yes. And sometimes you may turn out to be, even like an animal, or completely different physical form you may not even experience. You may have, um, for example, if the client may relate it to some of the star family, right? It can be a Sirius, can be Pleiades, it can be Andromedan. Anything can possible, right? And then, they kind of they looked at you in their arms and they find out that you only have 3 fingers, right? Or, like for example, in my case, I remember I kind of looked at myself. I'm standing and looking at, I'm in Egypt, looking at this beautiful pyramid, and I'm just noticing that I have this very interesting, um, I'm tall, I have a very long dress, and I do have a very long skull. And then when I did my research, after all, I find out, so this is part of the Sirius um, star families. They do have this elongated, uh, you know, um, skull. So I felt that I was like, oh wow, this is something interesting. Right? So, and I remember looking at the pyramids, and I was there with somebody else, and we were kind of watching, and I understand that this is their um, the tragedy actually on the other side of the planet actually happening right now. So, the collapse of Atlantis. So I felt this is kind of happening, but I know there's so many people were able to escape that. They actually came to Egypt, and I was one of them. But knowing all of that experience and it's kind of like everything happened at once. You kind of have this knowledge, and they're just like right there. Another interesting thing happened to me. So, I mentioned to you that I was in that mystic school, right? So as I mentioned, like I used to run the mystic school in Palladius and also in Sirius. So the fascinating part of it that I found out later that lots of beings go to school in Sirius to the mystic schools to learn different techniques, different modalities. So I was like, oh wow, that is so neat, right? Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's amazing when you start connecting those together and then it just makes sense. You have that aha moment and it just all comes together.
Yes. And, of course, when you dive into exploring all kind of different possibilities, so you also learn that, oh, I had experience living outside of the earth, right? This is another concept of like, oh, I never thought about it, right? Or how to process this. So I can tell you right away, like after my personal session, it took me about like 3 months to observe the data because I have so many different experiences and so many different levels, right? And then that kind of triggered me to dive in and to learn more about the star system. So I even took the course with Debbie Solaris and to learn about the Akashic record because I was like, I wanted to learn more about it. So I became like a sponge, right? So I wanted to learn this, I want to learn that, and kind of explore it. But as I wanted to mention, so during my past life regression, I remember they I would describe as somebody put a CD inside of your forehead, like they pushed something in, the CD. It was up. It was like I can feel it. Like as I was listening to my recordings later, and I'm saying like, oh, they're just uploading something in my head, and it's like a CD coming in, and I can hear it, like CD spinning, right? So I know it was the upload, right? So now what? So it's like, what was it? I wanted to know how can I play this, right? Or how can I explore? So that's another, like, another path, another life journey. Yeah.
I love how you talk about needing that break in between to actually pursue those things in your human life instead of jumping from regression to regression and getting stuck in the past. Now you're taking these things that you have learned in your session, like, okay, well, what's the next step? Do I just need time to integrate and be human? Is there a course that I need to take to learn more? Where do I seek that and trust and follow that trail?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's also when you explore and you find out one of the techniques I absolutely love. Dolores was teaching us. It's called the forgiveness. And would you like to try that?
Yes, I would love.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the forgiveness, it's absolutely amazing technique. So I want you to think about someone in your life, right? Maybe even not the past life, in the past, right? So they give you a very hard time, or even maybe a present time, right? I want you to think about this person. I want you to know that before you came to Earth, to this particular lifetime, your soul and that person's soul made an agreement. Okay, let's say I'm going to be a bad guy, you're going to be a good one, and we're going to fight all the time, and I'm going to make your life miserable, right? So you agrees, and then you're back to Earth, and you're going through this process, and you're like, I don't like this experience. I don't know what is about this person. I don't like this. And this particular techniques by Dolores Cannon, it's called forgiveness, helps you to clear that out, meaning kind of like clear that contract that is no longer connecting you with that particular person. That doesn't mean you're no longer going to be in that person's life or being around that person. No, it's just you're no longer going to push each other's buttons. Okay.
And is there something, Lana, that listeners can follow along with as well too?
Absolutely. Yes. We will do it together today. Okay. So think about this particular person, right? So now I want you to think that you're looking at this person face to face. Okay. That person may no longer with us in 3D, right? That's okay. We can just imagine that this person's staying right in front of you, like face to face. Okay. So now just looking at this person, you have to say, we tried, we really tried, but it is not working. Let's tear up the contract. And you will imagine that you hold in the contract, a piece of paper, and you're tearing apart that particular contract and throwing away. Okay? And then you have to say, I forgive you. I release you. I let you go. You go your way with love, and I go my way. We don't have to be connected anymore. And imagine that you letting go this person and the contract is over. Okay. So that particular little exercise, so that particular exercise will help you to break this chain, break this contract between that particular person, right? So you will say, I let you go with love and I go with love, right? So you separate the parts and let yourself free, right? And let that person free. It's a very powerful technique. I would suggest to find a time alone where you have a chance to just maybe light up the candle, have a beautiful cup of tea that you like, and maybe make a list of the people you would like to have change the relationship and forgive and change the contract, and go one by one by one. And and it works like a magic. I cannot wait to hear about your experience and how everything turned out for you.
Already at the end, I could feel my body just let out this automatic sigh. And then in the chest, this lightness. It's like, oh, it's very empowering to know that we don't need to carry these things and we're allowed to change our minds down the
Exactly.
road, that you
Yes.
have the power to say, hey, I don't like this anymore. I can do things differently, really shifting out of that victim mentality that everything is being done to me versus I have the power to change these things. And maybe we did decide this and we thought it would be a great idea to learn a lot of things while on earth. And then you get here and like you said, and no, it's too much, but you have the ability to say, okay, well, we're going to adjust it now and we're going to change it. And maybe next time we decide to do something else, or maybe not, but you have that power to be able to make those decisions for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's like, it just feels like lighter to just be able to let that go.
Yeah.
And to unhook from all of these things, that you have the ability to unhook from all of these things, from all of the past lives. And you had said earlier that it's really your decision on what you want to change, because I feel at the end of the day, all those behaviors and those habits, those are the glue that keeps everything together. And you have to be willing to change those in order to see the shift. So when you were talking about the physical issues, if you're not willing to change the behaviors and the habits to get you there, then you just kind of loop, it pulls you back into the loop again. So it's really is a conscious effort that you have to be willing to say, okay, I've had enough. I want to make the change. That no one's going to do it for you, right? No one's going to heal you. You are your own healer.
Yeah, it's internal job as well. We just have to remember there are layers. So we think, oh, I'm going to fix this and then we'll be good. Well, yes and no, because now we have to peel another layers. I always thought about it. That's not fair, right? But if you think about the whole life journey, this is the life journey. This is the journey, right? And your soul came here to have those experiences. So we have to honor that, right? So we have to connect to our soul, to our inner knowing. It's beautiful. I was obsessed with information about soul, and I wanted to find where the soul lives. Actually, it lives in our heart. That's fascinating. So sometimes when we connect it to our hearts, we also connect it to our soul. Yeah.
I love how you talk about the journey as well, too, and the soul's journey, and that it's the process. We're not meant to just do all of this all at once. And you can acknowledge that that is part of life, is this ongoing journey. You don't need to stop living until you get to a certain, goal that you can still live and heal and do all of this amazing stuff all at the same time.
But even kind of knowing that you can step back and look at your past and look at the current relationship, past relationship, you know that you are empowered to change things. And that makes your future much brighter and more exciting.
I think that's the most important thing you can learn doing this work, is that you have that power within yourself, because that changes everything from that day forward. And how you go about the rest of your life and your interactions with others is when you go inwards and you use that inner compass to guide your life. You can't go astray. I feel we go astray when we use other people as our compasses instead of going inwards. When you're following inwards, you can't go wrong. You're not ever really lost.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else, Lana, that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
No, I just wanted to say that I will definitely recommend to anyone to explore any modalities in past life regression and to explore the possibilities. Who knows, you may find so many new things that you had no idea. Yes, like a Pandora box. You never know. It's like a box of chocolate, right? You never know what you're going to get.
Coming with that open mind, just like you said, you never know what's going to be there. And that's part of the fun.
Exactly. That's the excitement. Yes. Yeah. Enjoy and love for yourself, because you are here to have this experience, honor you, honor your soul, and to have these abilities to connect. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you for being here today and sharing all of your brilliant wisdom with everybody. It's been a pleasure diving into this with you. We'll see everybody next time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Past Life Project. For more information how I can help you to access the wisdom of your subconscious mind to support deep healing and transformation, visit my website at moniqueglover.com. If you loved what you just listened to, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Until next time.